Hi, I'm Beth Ann.
What's up? I'm Ayla.
This is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to the show. Today we are here with a longtime listener, first time guest, always best friend.
Best friend of the podcast.
Best friend of the podcast. Right. We always say like friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
Best friend of the podcast for sure.
The only reason that we survived Thailand.
I mean, truly. Today we're here with Renee. Renee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Renee.
You are.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for joining us. We are super excited to talk about this topic. And when we thought about talking about this topic, we were like, who else do we talk to except for Renee?
Yes, because you and I, so we're talking GMMTV 2023, just in case you didn't read the title. You just clicked on the episode. You were so excited. You were like, oh my God. Yes. You hit play without even reading, which like I understand. Like I get it. It's fine. GMMTV 2023 lineup. And it had to be you, Renee, because you and I watched it live at like a stupid o'clock in the morning. And we're like texting back and forth. And it's like literally it got to a point where it was like 6 a.m. in Texas. And I was like, I have to go to work in 2 hours. So this is going to be a fun time for me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always up at 3 a.m. talking to you all about some live or something that's airing in Thailand time. It's like, do I need sleep? No, I'm a BL fan, of course.
Yeah.
I know Renee's that friend that if either one of us can't be awake at 4 a.m. for something stupid that's happening live in Thailand, Renee is absolutely on, because luckily you're on, is it Pacific time?
Yes.
Is that the time zone? There's so many time zones.
So it's a little better, but it's still like
it's still early.
It's still always early. Yeah.
It's still stupid. So when we decided to watch when we decided to talk GMMTV 2023, we were like, Renee, obviously, duh. So, and also because you have been a part of the podcast for so long, and we'll get into this, but for so long. But you've never been a guest. And I feel like this always happens with us. Like our best creator friends just like never end up on the podcast until we're like, hold on. Have we ever like had Trevor on the podcast? Have we ever like had Robbie on the podcast? Have we ever had Renee on the podcast? So truly, it was time.
Now you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Like, are you excited? I'm excited.
We're all excited. Okay, so to start things off, we're gonna do what we typically do with our guest, who not a lot of people know. A little behind the scenes guest.
Yes,
because you are behind the scenes quite a bit for us. So introduce yourself. Who are you?
Yeah.
What are words?
What are words? Well, my name's Renee, and I am an avid BL fan. I feel like I'm like number one fan of lots of things, like K-pop, BL, anime. I have been watching BL for about 2 years now, and I got into the creating side and make some TikToks and Instagrams and things like that. And I have a day job, but who cares about that?
Who cares about that? It means nothing.
Yeah. Shockingly, we all have day jobs, but
no,
they mean nothing other than funding BL.
Yes.
Funding the podcast, because we make no money off this podcast.
Yeah. I feel like I want to say like a fun fact, because like we always do fun facts on the show, is that I was a film major, and I also have a podcast that I'm on that's like a comics podcast. So yeah, little fun facts.
So you know, because you're also a podcaster, how bad we are at podcasting. I'm just kidding. You know truly how terrible we are at this.
Give us notes, Renee.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're not too terrible, because we're in season 3 of Let's Talk BL.
We have forced people to listen to so much. So, but I want to know how you found Let's Talk BL, because I know how Let's Talk BL found you, and I'm going to tell this story too, because I don't know if you remember this story. You might not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out.
Now I'm nervous.
I remember. I know how Let's Talk BL found you, but I want to know how you found Let's Talk BL.
Well, I was doing some digging because I was really trying to think, it feels like Let's Talk BL has been in my life forever now. It truly just feels like a part of my life. But I realized that when I first got into BL, I was on TikTok BL, and one of the early TikTok creators was Tara. And so I followed her a lot, and she was one of your early guests in
She was
season
our first
1.
guest. Like our first creator guest.
No, our first creator
was Mari.
Yeah. And I realized that was probably what got me in, because I wanted to see like Tara talk about BL, because she had such good insight, and I was like, ooh, someone else who's gonna like talk about the stuff in the ways that I think about it. And then I saw, oh, you have, like these guests. And then I think the first guest episode I saw was Smart, which was really like a really good episode. Like
I mean, Smart carried that. Like, he was so cute.
He was so cute.
He was very nice. It was our first Thai translated interview.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That was your first like guest episode to watch, because we had guests before Smart, but we talk a lot about how like we will support Smart until the ends of the earth, because he was the first. Smart and his manager Ploy were the first people to like believe in us on the Thai side. Like that was the first translated interview we ever did. So like we had no examples to show them. Like we had nothing, and they were like, they believed in us. They were like, yes, like we think you can do this. Like we'll do this with you. And so we're like, yeah, like we would die for him, because he believed in us before he had any good reason to.
Yeah. And I feel like he kind of set the tone of like having fun in a way, not that other guests didn't, but he was so much fun.
He was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, cute. So I'm going to tell the story of how Let's Talk BL found you, because again, I don't know, you might remember this, but you might not. I don't know. We'll see. So after every season, we do these like listener meetings, mostly because like we want to know how to get better. Like we want to know what people liked or didn't like, because like we have ideas and we come up with ideas, but we never really know. We're like, do people actually want to hear about this? Like half the time we're like, I don't know. I feel like we're talking about something people don't even want to talk about. And so we always have these little listener meetings, and it started at the end of season 1, because we're like, okay, if we're even gonna make a second season of this, let's figure out like how. Like what do people like, what do people not like, all of this stuff, because like I'm like a nerd like that, because I work in marketing, all this stuff. So I'm like, we must do focus groups. Like I'm like one of those
does
people.
The data show we need a second season, right?
Exactly. Precisely. And so I set up our very first listener meeting, and I was like, I remember telling Beth Ann, I was like, no one's gonna sign up for this. I was like, we're gonna have like one person. And then we had like a full room, and I was shocked. And you were in that full room. You were in the very first listener meeting. And we like, after every listener meeting, we take like copious notes. Like we genuinely want to incorporate what people want. But we were so nervous about like what types of guests to invite on and things like that. And like what types of episodes to run, because we're like, do we just do interviews? Do people even like the series Sundays? Like we didn't know what. And so we had asked of the group of the listeners, like what types of episodes they want and what types of guests they wanted. And you said, I still remember your quote, because we would talk about it all the time. Like anytime
season 2 motto.
Anytime we would get down on ourselves, or we would feel bad, or we would feel like we weren't doing good enough, or like anything like that, we'd be like, Renee said we have really good instincts, because that's what you told us. You were like
every time.
So
literally we said it every other day.
You were like our affirmation. Like anytime we would feel bad, we would be like, oh, like this sucked. Like we messed that up. Like we're not good enough. Like any of that. Like Renee was our affirmation.
Renee said we had good instincts.
Renee said we had good instincts.
We'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I feel like number one hype person, right? Yeah. Like I'll take that title, but that's really sweet to hear, because I think like the proof is in the pudding, right? You're on, you've done all these really great interviews, and as a listener and now like kind of more friend of the podcast, it's really been great to see you all grow from those early interviews and see like how much better you've gotten at this and how much you've like honed those instincts. So
it depends. On
maybe a little more
right?
chaotic.
Yeah, it's a little chaotic.
A little more comfortable. So we speak the words because
Yeah.
Well, your tie's gotten better for sure.
Oh Lord,
true.
That's true. Santa thinks so.
Yes. Okay. We want to know a few more things about you. So, do you have a favorite Let's Talk BL episode?
I can't pick just one. I will say the Tool episode is definitely probably one of my tops because it was the first time I feel like you guys got really deep on Let's Talk BL and really dug into a lot of the stuff that you all had been talking about with someone in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really, really good episode for that one. I mean, for the Tool of it all, of course, because it's Tool. But for that reason too, I thought it was a really good episode. And then more recently, I really like the Peace to Faye interview with hello, Sua and First, because I think because it was like a little different, and I love when it gets to get mixed up. You got to do the like name that tune and like you know what man type are you? Whatever that.
The thing from Cute Boy Thailand, the Cute Boy Thailand Matrix. Yeah. That episode was so chaotic. It's so funny that you included that one.
Well, and it had Sua, which you know, like of course is on brand. So.
Renee gets us.
Yes, Renee gets the Sia of it all. Okay, now the more basic questions. Yeah. What's your favorite BL series and who's your top ship?
I feel like picking a favorite series is truly one of the hardest things a BL fan can ever do because there's so many that you love from when you first got into it and so many that you love now because there's like new ones coming out all the time. I would like probably kick myself if I didn't say Until We Meet Again, but I will say
a legend.
Yeah, I will say that Not Me has really become one of my like go-tos when I think about all the things I love about BL and how that became such an iconic moment in the BL world and then like transcended into actual world in Thailand at like the Pride Fair or the Pride Festival in Thailand. And so I think that one is probably way up there. And then that leads me to like my favorite ships, which is going to be OffGun and Max Tool.
Yes.
I love it.
Truly.
Okay.
Yeah, so good.
So let's start talking about GMMTV 2023 then, because that's like a perfect segue. So we're talking about these in a specific order. So it's so funny that you picked OffGun as your favorite ship.
Hold on, before we get into it, my question, I don't know if I should ask this at the beginning or at the end, but do you guys know which trailer has the most views and which trailer has the least views?
No, because I don't care.
I love.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care.
I love this kind of stuff.
It's gotta be OnlyFriends. It's gotta be OnlyFriends.
You think OnlyFriends?
I want to guess.
Well, Cherry Magic doesn't have a trailer,
right?
No, I would say. I'm gonna say it's the Perth one because I feel like there's more hype around. Yeah, there's more hype around the Perth Jimin.
I'm the Perth of it all. Yeah, Dangerous Romance has the most views. I would have thought it would have been OnlyFriends, but no. Dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like the views are a red herring most of the time with these trailers. Like, I don't pay attention to them because I don't love there are so many shows that if you only paid attention to how popular they were, how many views they got, and you paid more attention or less attention based on views, you would miss out.
Yeah.
So like I always try and ignore that.
Well, and I will say, so I went back and kind of revisited GMMTV 2022 because I was curious, like, oh, what did I think back then now that we're like have watched all those series? And I remember like the Eclipse, shout out to my GMMTV hoodie, was not one that I was like, I was kind of confused. I was like, what is that? I don't, you know, I don't know if I buy first in Kowtown and now I've done like a full 180.
I mean, well, no, because they were a new ship. Yeah, I feel like that it's not fair to be like,
nobody had their first awakening.
They were, and they were a brand new ship. So yeah, it's fair to be like, I didn't know if I bought into them because like,
fully,
yeah, and there was like so much hype, I think, around Moonlight Chicken and Fuin's shows, which like we still haven't gotten.
I was gonna say, look where we are now with Moonlight Chicken. So
yeah. So I think it's interesting to think about like what we might talk about now and then revisit it, you know, like after all these shows
and how it rounds out. Yeah,
we're definitely not getting OnlyFriends until 2025.
Yeah, well, because that's
The
what everyone's so
people
excited
riot.
about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the people are rioting over Moonlight Chicken, and like for all the good that's doing them.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
you know. But okay, our segue. Let's start with Cooking Crush, which is the new OffGun. I screeched because I was like, when they announced GMMTV 2023, I was like, I want OffGun. Like, I want OffGun to have another BL. They killed it with Not Me. Selfishly, I was like, I want to get on my hands and knees in front of GMMTV and beg them to let me interview OffGun. And so, like, that can only happen if they have another BL as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm ready to beg. I'm preparing myself. But I was super excited when this got announced because I saw Gun's face in the trailer and I was like, yes. Like, I knew in my heart, I was like, yes.
Did we ever think we'd get two of the 4 pillars in 2023?
No.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I knew they were going to bring them back. Like those.
We had a feeling because
Yeah.
OffGun's been doing a lot lately.
OffGun has been promoting like crazy, and TayNew has been promoting like crazy.
TayNew.
Yeah.
But I feel like TayNew was just at the very end of this year. It felt like it just kind of started ramping up.
Yeah, they just started ramping up.
Well,
but
also-
here's the thing. TayNew never died, which we'll get to that when we get to the TayNew BL.
True.
But TayNew never sunk. People are like, they're sinking. And I was like, no, they're not. They're doing active ship work. What do you mean? They have so many brand deals.
They never had a chance to because the COVID timeline paused them in 2020 because Dark Blue Kiss was just ending. So they had just now in 2022 started doing the Dark Blue Kiss promotions that like they were
the
supposed
fan
to
meetings,
do.
basically the follow-up fan meetings.
Which
is
crazy.
But yeah, so
Cooking
OffGun,
Crush.
I was so excited.
Is this going to be sugar-coated
like
sugar?
you, OffGun is my one of my top. I wouldn't call them my top ship, but one of my tops. Especially like Off Trumpole, my best friend. If anyone has listened to episode 1 of this podcast.
Yeah.
The question is, because I had a lot of people ask me this, and I think, Beth Ann, you even mentioned this to me about like, I feel like this storyline doesn't make sense for OffGun, or like, how much do you think they had to pay them to do this and all this stuff? I want to know, Renee, what you think, because I have a point to point out that I want everybody to like, and I feel like people are going to be like, oh yeah, about this, but I want to know what you think.
So I also have a little thought on it. No surprise. But one of the things is I heard somewhere that Gun was wanting to do something less serious, right? Yeah. So that was sort of like one of it all. But crying. I was looking back at our Skyy 1 and I was like watching the OffGun, little series. And I was like, oh, right. Like they can bring funny, they can bring a little serious, a little crying, and we got like sassy Gun in that, which I loved. And I think they were just like, yeah, we still want to work. And so we want to do something fun and not like have to be, so serious all the time. And so I think that's why they chose this. Am I a little confused about the plot? Yes. But I think it makes sense given after Not Me, right? Like you need a break from that. So
yeah, sure. So I'm with you on the plot where I'm like, I've watched the trailer a few times now and I'm like, hold on. The trailer doesn't explain to me how we get from he's paying like a crazy amount of money for cooking lessons to now he likes him and now they like each other. The trailer has not explained this to me. I don't understand how we're going from that to that.
It's OffGun.
But I have faith. But I'm so glad you brought up our Skyy, because that was my point. Everyone, even you, Beth Ann, you were like, how much do you think they had to pay them for this? Or like, what do you think they had to say to them to get them to do this? Actually, this type of storyline makes so much sense for OffGun. Think about what they do well. Puppy Honey. Think about where they started, the type of storyline they started with. Like, this is the type of story, this like fluffy sugar-coated sugar that launched OffGun. Like, this is what they can do at their core. So like, I actually don't think anybody needed to convince them to do this. I think they were like, yeah, we could do this type of storyline in our sleep. Like Renee, I heard that same thing where they were like, we wanted to do something fun. Like we wanted to do something nice. And even if you think about like Theory of Love, it's really funny in a lot of parts. And the parts that shine in Theory of Love, besides Guns crying, iconic. Besides that, are when they're being ridiculous, right? Even the like shower.
That's ridiculous.
With the, like,
it's funny. Yeah.
So like where OffGun shine, I mean, they're so talented. So yes, not me. They absolutely killed those serious characters. Yep. But where they shine as a ship is actually this like silly, funny, like kind of ridiculous plotline. So I actually think it makes perfect sense for OffGun.
And I think about it too, like a lot of what makes OffGun such a good ship is all those like silly games and TV shows that they do with like Jenny and like
you know, OffGun Fun Night.
OffGun Fun Night, right? Anything with ARM, and it's like that brings them in that comfort zone for them, which they do really well at. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited when I saw this. I was like, oh yes.
Also, this gave us the introduction of a new ship,
Neomark,
which is Neomark. Oh my god.
I was really confused. Honestly, I was like, oh, so we're just like floating Neo around all over the place.
Love it.
And then I saw like Neomark happens again for a second time in 2023. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're going for Neomark. Okay.
Yeah, Mark is in everything. I just want to point out, like, he is whatever the it boy of GMMTV this year, because I feel like
he's like Drake. Remember when Drake was in like every single series one year? He's the Drake of this year.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I love because Mark is dreamy.
He's a cute.
Yeah. But Neo's in his hot boy era, so even if they're not like, listen, Neo is always hot boy, which I want to point out, like, I knew this. I've been trying to tell people for so long. But I've been trying to tell people since Tanhan Chonlati. But
I didn't remember him as Tanhan.
I did. But it wouldn't surprise me if he in 2024 gets a different ship. Like I feel like Neo weirdly has chemistry with like a wall.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And as someone who loves Louis, I am so sad for less Louis and less Neo Louis, because I feel like Neo Louis kind of hit their stride a little bit after the eclipse. But I will say I'm not the type of person that's like, if a boy gets work elsewhere, I'm not upset because they've broken up a ship. Like you can always come back to that ship. And so I think it's important for us to be like, let the boys work. Let them do stuff, because a lot of these boys,
Neo's in his hot boy era.
Yeah, so. A lot of these boys are in school, and so I'm sure Louis is about to go fly pans for a year. So
he's gonna be busy, and I agree. You know, I just saw some like stuff on TikTok about this around the idea of people getting so hung up on ships, right? And that we really need to let people break up their ships more, so that we can get these new ships that potentially could be even better than the old, you know, or
also, especially if who is it? Oh, it's CJ on TikTok, used to do, I don't know if they still do them, but they used to do this series called like they would talk about the captain of their ship. Right? Yes. Do you remember these TikToks, Renee? That CJ used to do? Yeah. So CJ would talk about the captain of their ships. And I was like, that's genius, because we all have a captain of our ship, right? Like, I love Yinwar. I think Yinwar is one of the most dynamic ships ever. War is the captain of that ship for me, right? And I love TayNew. Tay is the captain of that ship for me. Yeah. Like, if I was saying like
a ship for everyone,
like a ship, I actually... TayNew is my top ship. Like they're the ship that I go and like watch edits of, kind of thing. Is actually TayNew for me, which is like sounds strange, but it is
so funny.
So like for me, Tay is the captain of my ship, and I think that like especially GMMTV starting to do this with Neo. Okay, what if Neo's the captain? So for me, Neo Louis, Neo's the captain of that ship for me, and so I'm all about him going and steering another ship, like, because he's the captain of my ship. So I think it's like, it's nice, and you don't have to tie all of your hopes and dreams on, like, you don't have to lose a boy that you like, for example. Like I feel like this happened a lot with an iconic ship that we're not going to get into and talk about, but one of these boys is quite popular right now with his new ship, and when his previous ship sunk, like did like out of choice did not sail any longer. People were like, oh, I can't like him anymore. And I was like, what? Like, it made no sense to me. I was like, but you like him. So don't like.
Well, and I sort of think about it like with musicians too, and like K-pop, right? Like if an artist is in a group and they go solo, you don't love them any less or their music any less.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Should we pause for a second because our internet's lagging?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, it's fine, but it'll pop back up.
Okay.
Is it mine or yours?
No, it's ours. Okay. Although, could you see us fine? Were we pixely?
You weren't pixely. You just freeze occasionally, but the audio still comes through. So
yeah.
Okay. So moving on. Let's go to what is supposed to be the first BL that we're supposed to get in 2023 of the lineup. Hidden Agenda, Jungdunk.
I mean,
supposedly the rumor mill tells us that this is going to be the first one we get because apparently they've shot a little bit of it already. Is like what is the talk on the street. Also, because Jung posted, because Jung, it's Jung. Okay, Hidden Agenda. Thoughts?
I'm obsessed with Jungdunk. I think this is such a fun show for them. It's a little bit of Love in the Air gaslighting on Jung's part, where he's like, I think here's my prediction of how the storyline's gonna go. I think that Jung has had a crush on Dunk's character, and that's the revelation, like this emotional, like, why did you lie to me? Why didn't you tell? Like, I think that's why he broke up with the girl, because like he was in love with Dunk's character.
Yeah, obviously it's Together, copy and paste, because that's exactly the plot of Together. It's okay.
Who's
Together.
This?
The plot of Together, not Piaf, but the plot of Together is that boy, Bright, Sarawat.
Oh, it's the director's T.
Okay.
Who did Tarn Type.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So Bright, Sarawat, has had a crush on Tyne forever, right? Sees him back in high school at this little concert. He decides he loves him, right? Fast forward, we're in college. Tyne is trying to figure out how to get this girl, and he knows Sarawat is like a ladies' man, and so he's like, everybody loves Sarawat. I need to talk to Sarawat. I need to and also he so Sarawat is the most popular, and his other thing is like, I need to make Green stop loving me. Obviously, like
the fake boyfriend trope,
right? So he's like, I'm gonna make him be my fake boyfriend, right? All of this stuff, and it is basically the exact same plot. It's Together, copy and pasted. I'm not actually mad about that. I like Together. I don't care what anybody says. I love Together.
We got a kiss in the trailer, so obviously it's already going to be better than Together.
No high fives in this one.
No high fives.
I think
the high five isn't still Together. I want to point out. Thank you.
My bad. I think one of the things we love about BLs is like that sometimes we like what's familiar, right? And what is familiar is Dunk being an idiot and being like, you know what? For no apparent reason, I need to date someone. I know I'll randomly pick this hot chick.
Yes.
And then I will randomly have to talk to
her ex-boyfriend is going to help me.
Her ex-boyfriend is going to help me. Because I'm an idiot and I can't do this stuff by myself. And we love Jung being like, oh, I'll help you. Like, don't worry, right?
Jung is like a confident, aloof boy. Is so perfect for him because he is so confident. He's not aloof, even a little bit.
No,
not even a little aloof in real life, but he plays it really well.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I'm curious to see what the drama is, or like what that reveal is, because hopefully that will tie it all together. But yeah, I am ready for Jungdunk being fluffy and pretend boyfriends, right? Like
it's gonna be fluffy and silly and just and I'm excited that
what's funny is that in Star in My Mind we also got a girl crying on Jung's shoulder.
Yeah.
So, we know he can do it. We also have Louis as a side character, and
yes, he's a friend.
And
he's
AJ,
one of Dunk's friends.
AJ of AJJJ.
My favorite twin. Don't tell JJ.
You know them apart? I was like, what?
Yeah, the real question for me is always, is it AJ or is it JJ? And sometimes I come up with tricks to remind myself if it's AJ or JJ, and then half the time I forget what the trick is and guess wrong anyways.
Do you think we'll ever get an AJ BL?
I mean, they've all been in BLs, but you mean one of them having a couple?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know if they want that.
I also feel like that would be difficult for twins because if you think about it, even the other twins don't have couple pairings because it's hard.
They were supposed to.
I feel like it would be hard.
Yep. That's probably why.
I feel like it'd be hard for a twin to be in a ship because like then from like a shipwreck perspective, couldn't they just be interchangeable, right? From like a brand deal thing. And so then it's like you get into this like weird.
But that's the plot, Ayla, right? Like you have twins, you're dating one of them. Oh wait, are you dating the other one? It's like my love mix up. Like, who are we dating?
I mean, so we did have in End of Love, Ben's played twins.
Yeah.
And like the twin was like involved in the ships, like on some level. Yeah, I maybe I don't know.
I dream of a twin BL. I think it would be so much fun because it's just like hijinks, right?
Yeah.
Like, just so much
full
fun.
Parent Trap, but like boy trap.
Okay.
And make it gay, right?
Next up. Last Twilight. Renee, you go first because I have so many thoughts.
Jimmy C.
I feel like I just want to be like finger gun. Because that was like I couldn't stop thinking about that as like I'm either gonna hate this or love this eventually. The thing that I've been hearing and the thing that I want to say is I have faith in Piaf, right? Like he's gonna be the director. I have so much trust in him as a director. I don't think he will steer us wrong.
No.
I will say, like after Bad Buddy, we all kind of wanted a bad Jimmy anyway, right? So we're getting that. And I think C has hidden acting skills that like, potentially could be really cool. I say all that like in this really weird caveat moment because I'm like, when I first saw it, I was like, no, I don't, like, do I like this or not?
Yeah.
And so I had to like rethink about it. This like when I watched it the second time, I was like, okay, here's all the elements that are going to make it great. Like, but the trailer didn't wow me at first, which I felt really bad about.
Oh, that's so interesting. I had the opposite reaction. I watched the trailer and I was like, this is amazing. But I love these types of storylines. Like there are many a movie that have very similar plots to this. And I love all those movies. I love this plot line. I love that he is like going blind. Like maybe this is the same disease that Peepaw had. I don't know, right? Maybe Peepaw had an accident and we're like, in my brain, we can all live in the same like universe and I'll finally get answers. But no, I was really blown away about Jimmy and C in this, like as a choice for this. Like I loved Vice Versa. I love Jimmy C. Like I love C. I think C is just this like ray of sunshine in everything that he does. But when I watched this, I was like, oh my God, like truly for both of them. Yeah. And I agree. I trust in Piaf. This is also an original story, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
It's not based off of a novel. I was blown away. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, this was the storyline that I kind of saw the most discourse about what could possibly happen within this story. Everyone was like, one of them's gonna die. One of them has Jimmy's character is gonna have to give C his eyes. Like there was so much conversation around what could possibly go on in this story that was really funny.
Well, and we also have like a countdown clock, right? Which we love in a BL or like in a show.
Right.
It's like, 180 days till he goes fully blind, right? So then that means we know there's like a
beach frolic.
There are multiple beach frolics.
Absolutely a beach frolic.
Also, can I say I'm obsessed with the fact that we've already established this trope that like he can see him as far as a palm away, right? Like this situation where I'm like, this, and I'm like, I love the setup that they're already doing for the ship work on this one. Like,
do you think we'll get badminton merch from this? Because he's a badminton player.
No.
Gee, I feel like we could help GMMTV with their merch because there's so much more I would buy from shows.
I cannot wait to see what merch we get out of 2023.
Does everyone get chickens for Moonlight Chicken? That's what I really want.
They should.
Yeah. No, I like C. You're right. C is beautiful. He's amazing. His smile lights up the room. And I think maybe that's why I was initially hesitant, because he's so grumpy, right, in it. And so I was kind of like, oh, like I like happy C. And so I think the whole caretaker aspect, we're gonna get some really tender moments, and it's gonna be this really like soft, interesting thinking BL, and those are the BLs that end up being some of the best BLs.
Yeah.
Right. So
We're
also
going to get some
exactly
comedy from Jimmy, which is going to be fun to see.
Yeah, or like not so much comedy as like sarcasm.
Yeah.
Like
which I feel like is very true to him.
A little sassy
so
Although
sassy.
I will say my first thought when I watched this, when we were watching it live, Renee, is my very first thought was like, how much do you think it killed Jimmy to have to pretend to smoke? Like, how upset do you think he was about even smoking a fake cigarette?
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Healthy Boy.
He was so angry.
Probably so upset.
Or maybe he was really excited because he ggets to like live on the wild side for a little bit, right?
Maybe.
Like people who are really fit, they like their cheat days mean so much more, right? Like, because it's like, oh, this is like, I don't get to do this all the time. So.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the one that everyone's talking about. I was like, I put this pretty high up on the list because I was like, this is the one people are waiting to hear about. Only Friends.
I have so many thoughts, but I want to hear Beth Ann because I know Beth Ann has lots of thoughts too.
Okay, first of all, it's coming from JoJo. Sorry, JoJo. It's coming from JoJo, which 3 will be free. And what else did he do? He's like the king of these types of storylines.
He did The Player and The Warp Effect. Yes. The Warp Effect, which is coming out, and Mama Go-Go, which like
Mama Go-Go.
You love Mama Go-Go.
I think this is interesting because I like good escapist media, and this is messy, and it's going to be drama, and it's going to be just crazy and psychotic, and I love the mess of it all, where like they're literally mixing up ships throughout the entire show.
I love how messy this is. Yeah. I love when people get messy. Hundo P.
I am curious as to how spicy do we think GMMTV is actually going to be?
Well, I think it's like, how spicy is the Warp Effect going to be, right? Or The Player, or
they
Mama
talk
Go-Go.
a lot. I feel like they talk a lot about the spice. But
here's the thing about spice. I actually, say what you will, think that GMMTV in some cases has done a really good job with the spice, because I don't think you need to see like essentially softcore porn. Like I really don't, for it to be spicy, because 3 Will Be Free was really spicy and you see nothing. Like you see nothing.
Like implied spice.
And it was so spicy, and it achieved the effect without them having to do softcore porn.
Joss, Tay, and Mild making out together was pretty spicy.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like on the beach, but like nobody's like naked. They're not in a bed. Right. And then there's like the implication that this is what happened. And they talk about the next day that this is what happened. And like you see that like Mild and Joss have hooked up, right? And all of this stuff, and like the lead up even to their hookup was so spicy, and it almost, I feel like, was more spicy than a show where like everyone, like where you see the actual scene, right? Like
Love in the Air, like, shout out.
I feel like it like achieves the effect more, right? Like it achieves what you're going for more.
I think definitely there's a way to do spice where you don't have to show things. I agree with you. And I think there's a lot of BLs that do that really well. And I do think, like, again, in JoJo we trust, right? Because he has done some really great stuff, and also comes from like a really good perspective, because like he was talking about it on his Twitter about how he wanted to portray sort of more authentic gay relationships, right? Like, but still be this like toxic telenovela drama, right?
Because that's what's fun.
I know. I hated that the assumption was that it was going to be all spice and no storyline. And from that trailer alone, you got the whole storyline. You don't need anything more than what they've told you about. So I thought it was really...
Which I think is why people assume that, though, because they're like, what what other story can you tell us, right? So like you've
need another
already
story.
given us the whole story, so like why would I watch it to get story? Like I get where people are coming from
because I want to see all these boys play this out. Like I don't need more depth to this story. I have everything I need to know. I absolutely want to see these characters just live life. Like I think that's probably part of it too. Like I'm just interested in seeing these actors play these characters living life.
Well, and I think too, it's like what I'm really interested is the dynamics between the characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have what Neo Force, right? Like that's all
yeah.
I would have never.
And they're like best friends, and somebody has made like a chart. I want to know how everyone knows each other and like what their history is. Like I want to know their relationship dynamics, not in relation to whether or not they're kissing.
And we have like Cal, Book, and it's gonna be
Neo Mark again, right? And you know, Cow Tongue first, right? Like there's so many cool pairings in the show that I'm really excited to see how that plays on screen. And like it's real. Like I remember, you know, maybe a little while ago now, when I was in the dorms in college, it was like you had your best friend that maybe you secretly had a crush on, and then, you know, but that person was hooking up with this person, and it was sort of like it got really messy really quickly. And so I think this show is actually, I think, going to be really relatable to a lot of people out there. So
yeah, I agree. I'm excited for it. I think that the question of like how spicy will GMMTV get, like I would argue GMMTV already gets really spicy. Is the real question how naked is GMMTV going to get? Like if that's the real question, I don't think very much. Like I think it's going to be the same level of like in terms of how far they go with the bed scenes.
Right.
But again, like and this is JoJo, and JoJo is 3 Will Be Free. 3 Will Be Free was incredibly spicy, and there is not one single actual bed scene in it. And it was so spicy. So like
well,
I think how spicy is it going to be? It'll be pretty spicy. If the real question is how many bed scenes are you going to get? My guess is probably the same amount as any GMMTV show.
Yeah, I think too what's interesting is like, you know, in a lot of the sort of non-BL shows, right? Like the, you know, the ones like The Player or something, right?
Yeah.
Like there, you know, we do see that same sort of thing, right? So like spicy without too many sex scenes or too much like explicit stuff. So I think it'll probably just be in the same line as their, you know, not BL shows.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's my guess too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But I am so excited for it.
I'm excited to see and I'm excited
JoJo
to see like who watches it, and I'm really excited to see the discourse around how messy and toxic it is, considering some of the discourse around some of the other shows that happened in 2022 and people being like, I can't watch this and support this because blah blah blah, it's too toxic. I'm interested to see if the tide turns a little bit once it's GMMTV. It'll be interesting to see.
There's definitely fans out there like myself who love toxic and messy. So
no, I'm just interested to see if people kind of accept this toxicity versus like I'm just so curious to see what toxicity people are willing to be like, I can support this, I can get behind this, right? Like at what level do you change your mind?
I feel like people will hate watch this. Like we're gonna have that group of people who are like, this is wrong, we shouldn't be romanticizing this, but they're 1,000% gonna watch it.
I mean, we'll see. I'm so curious. I'm really excited about the show, but I'm even more excited to be a part of the discussion and to like see the discussion around it.
Also, here's the thing about this show is it's the best of both worlds. We love Friends, we love BL boys, we get both at the same time. Like it's all together. It's fun Friends and BL boys.
Everyone's just, you know, what, like more than friends, less than lovers?
Yeah.
As the t-shirt says.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, the one that we all hoped for.
I mean,
that we all manifested into existence.
I mean,
not a BL. Does have a BL storyline in it, but not a BL. The GL. 23.5.
I was like, which one are we talking?
You're like, where are we going with this?
I mean, not a BL. It's not a BL. It has a BL storyline, right? So we have
Gemini 4th.
Gemini 4th. I was like, not Book Force, not them,
No.
someone else. Gemini 4th. We have Gemini 4th, but the stars. The reason to watch this, what hooked us all in Bad Buddy.
I mean,
Milk and Love.
I feel like GMMTV would have been burned down if they hadn't given us Milk Love.
GMMTV's very first full GL.
Yeah.
The focus is the GL.
Yeah.
We've manifested it and now it's here. What do we think?
It is sort of wild to me because I was remembering that like one of the earliest BLs, Waterboy, right? Not maybe the best, but had a GL storyline, right? And Friendship, I think maybe
Friend Zone. Yes, Apple, our girl Apple from You're My Sky, Jude My Katongfa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those were like really early, and then they seemed to like get away from it, right? And so we didn't see that, and we saw girls being like the villain or the mom, you know, or sort of like the friend that's, you know, the Sammy archetype of like, oh, I'm your friend, I support you. And so it's really nice.
The non-threatening friend.
Yeah, exactly. It's really nice to see, because we love a good side couple, right? But it's really, 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 really nice to see the GL of it all and to see them get a main, have two girls be the mains, right? Yeah. I just like can't even express it because I think just got like a little story time, right? I got into BL because there was such a lack of queer media that I could find that wasn't centered around trauma, right? Or that wasn't centered around being gay. And while some BLs like are centered around that, most of them are like, it's not about being gay, it's not about being queer. And like as someone who's queer, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's this whole genre of like, you know, stories that are showing queerness and showing, you know, like stories that represent more me and my community, but it's BL. And I am not a boy. I, you know, identify as a girl. And so it's sort of this thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting because now this world that I love so much is also now showing even more representation and more shows that like I can relate to. So it's really exciting. And I think there's a lot of LGBTQ females out there who watch BL. Like I think there's a huge fan base there. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. I was so excited to hear what you thought about this in the storyline and what you're hoping for from it. Like, because I feel like we all, like, you live a GL.
I live my own GL.
You live a GL. We love it. It's cute.
The worst part though is that I'm married. My wife, she like, I try to get her to have these GL moments where like I'll stare at her in the kitchen, just like trying to make intense eye contact. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh wait, I tripped and fell. Oh my God. And we'll look at each other. And she's like,
you want to orchestrate a fall kiss? And then we hear Renee's in the hospital because she's like lost a tooth.
So I do live it, and maybe not exactly as we see on the screen, but yeah, I think it's really hard because part of me really wants it to just be cute and fluffy. Mm-hmm. And I saw that in the trailer and I was like, perfect. Like and it actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Gap, the other GL that's out right now that's doing really well. I really like it, which we have this sort of like emo, like, soft top that's like, a little like in their feels. And then you have this like sort of power femme, they're like more, girly bottom type that's like, oh, like you like me, I'm going to go for you. And so I'm excited to see how that dynamic plays out.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any conflict. Like, and maybe
no, I agree. No, I didn't. I was trying to figure out what exactly the storyline was going to be. I was super excited. Like, as soon as I heard her voice, I was like, yes. Like, as soon as I heard Milk's voice, I knew. Yeah. Like, I knew in my heart, because she opens the trailer, right? And it's the back of her head and she's just talking. I didn't have to see anything else. I saw that like yellow beanie and I heard her voice and I knew in my soul. I was like, oh, yes. So I was super excited. But then I'm like watching the trailer and I'm like, I'm with you. I'm like, I don't understand what the conflict is going to be besides. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, do I want a conflict? Like, would it on some level be nice to just watch a story of like, girl likes girl, other girl finds out that girl likes girl, she gets to know girl, also likes girl, and now we like each other. And like, what if that was the whole storyline, is just watching this unfold, right? Like watching them find each other and her crush find out about her, and right, this like perfect scenario that we all have when we're in high school, because they're in high school in the show, of like, what if the person I like knows that I like them, right? Kind of like when you have like your friend tell their friend, and then right, like that whole situation. So like, and in your brain, when you're doing that in real life in high school, you're like, my friend will tell their friend, and then their friend will tell them, and then they're going to realize how cute and wonderful and like amazing I am, and they're going to decide that they like me, and they're going to like come up to me in math class and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And in this case, in the trailer, it's gym class. But
it reminds me. It reminds me of like a Taiwanese BL, like almost like an About Youth, where it's like kind of wholesome and just like,
I feel like About Youth was on some level very traumatic, so I hope not.
But just like a kind of a slow burn, and like you're just watching these characters find each other and like really accept each other and kind of develop these relationships.
There's another there's a Japanese BL that's like two boys in high school, and there really isn't any conflict other than just sometimes they don't talk to each other, right? Like, and then they're like, oh, I should have just talked to you, I'm sorry. And their relationship just develops really sweetly. And so I'm with you, Ayla. I was like, oh, there's going to be a parent that like, takes it out, right? Or their friends aren't going to approve of them, or there's going to be something. And I was like, what if there wasn't anything? Like, what if we just got a pure fluffy GL that was just like two girls finding each other and like
two girls realize they like each other. Like that might be nice to watch. And I feel like that's enough conflict in itself, because like it's the inner conflict of, because we see right where Milk's character, Sun is Love's character. I don't remember Milk's character's name. Earth, well, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's her.
Yeah, because they're because the Earth. Yeah. So
around her.
Yeah. So like we see Earth have this moment of panic of like, she knows it's me, right? Like we see that, and if that's the conflict of her like having this panic moment of like, she knows it's me, and because that in itself is conflict, right? Like I remember having those moments of like, oh God, like they know it's me, like they know I like them, like they know, right? Like they've figured out that I have this crush on them. It's almost like if the best story, right? Like the plot of the best story, but take out the like crazy girl and the mom. Like that would be such a cute story to watch, of like this character who has this crush and then is really going through it over like they know it's me, like, because it's relatable.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like, and that is, we were talking about Only Friends, and that being more a portrayal of like sort of gay male relationships, right? And like if you think about the like stereotypes and archetypes of what female relationships are, right? There's this sort of sense of like, yeah, we couple up and then it's like, okay, can I move in with you with my cats? Right? Like, so I would like to see that sort of authentic representation. And weirdly, the director is like an Academy Award nominated director.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
They haven't done anything BL related, but I was like, okay, well, that's kind of promising. So
cool. That is cool.
So yeah, I'm here for, sort of cats and cuddling and all the beanies. I love the beanies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm here for it for sure.
Okay. I'm excited. Okay. Let's move on to the one that apparently has had the most views. Dangerous Romance.
I called it. I called Perth Driven.
You did. And I even said that when me and Renee were watching it live. I said that. I was like, Beth Ann called this first.
I don't remember why or how or when.
I remember when. It was when we were in Thailand. And we were in the movie theater in Siam Paragon. And we were like doing a little vloggy vlog. And Chimon is in, or at the time was in a movie that was being promoted, and there's like a big cardboard cutout of Chimon. And so we like went over to it and we were like, we know him, right? Like all this stuff. And you were like, you know what I think? You were like, because Perth had just joined GMMTV at that point. And you were like, you know what I think? I think Chimon's going to be in a BL this year. And I think he's going to be paired up with Perth. And I think that's why they signed him, so that they could like pair him. And you like, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
How did you know that, Dan?
I don't know. I just had good instincts.
Good instincts.
Here's the thing. I will say the Perth Saint fans have stuck with the Perth Saint forever. They have held on to hope that it will one day happen. And sure, maybe it will. Who knows? There's always hope in BL.
I'm holding on to Perth Baz. Thank you.
But yeah, I'm excited. This will be the first BL that we get from Perth since Love by Chance, which is crazy, or Love by Chance 2.
No.
The first TV show. No, because I think they turned that movie into a bromance. Like that was the whole conversation. Like
really?
It wasn't actually. I know we're
Star Hunter released the
footage. But because of the funding that they ended up getting, they had to turn it into bromance, is what I've heard. Rumor has it. If you know, tell us. But yeah, so Perth Chimon, I mean, it's just another messy one. I'm obsessed with this. It feels very Bad Buddy almost, right? Like bros fight, like there's fighting in like the first 2 seconds of the trailer, and like, you know,
I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed. Renee, I remember when we were talking about this live, and I was like, this is so problematic. I was like, everything about this is problematic, but I'm gonna watch the hell out of this. They have incredible chemistry. The storyline looks like a mess, a hot mess, and I'm gonna watch it. And is it toxic? Yes. I can already tell from the trailer it's toxic. I do not love, especially in BLs, when we use violence, right? Like when we hit each other, like don't love that. And they do that in the trailer, and I don't love that moment, and that's why this is toxic. But is that real and true of high school boys who are getting together who are like, I don't like you, right? Like
when they like hate kiss in the rain, I'm like, what in the Big Dragon? What in the Big Dragon?
I cannot wait to watch this one. I'm obsessed. I watched this trailer and I was like, this is problematic as hell, but I'm obsessed already.
The line is iconic when he's like, can you help make me a football player? And he was like, how can I do that? And he's like, every windmill needs its wind. I was like, what?
I like the conversation when he's like, I'll just pay you to be like, he's like, you could be my sugar baby.
That was very iconic too.
I also love the moment when Chimon is like running after Perth, writing like math equations on the back of his shirt. I love like, you have to take everything off your shirt. About this. I love everything about this.
We can't forget the umbrella scene where they're soaking wet, but they're still holding an umbrella.
Yeah. What in the 2 moons?
This show's gonna be fun to talk about. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I think like I mean, I always liked Perth. I think he's a great actor, you know, but it's been a minute, right? Like you said, we haven't seen him really on screen. You know, there was that unfortunate safe house situation, but like not acting. Right. And I remember being like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh God, this is why Love by Chance was so good, because Perth is really so good as an actor. And like, he gives those looks that are like so iconic BL looks. And it's just like so hard not to melt at them and like feel that intensity from him on the screen. And so I was just like, oh, right. Yes, this is going to be so good. Like,
I mean, which is why GMMTV got Perth and immediately was like, we're putting you in like 4 or 5 shows. Like you're leading 2 shows already.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And I think like the only thing I'm a little nervous about, I will say, is that this could go one of 2 ways, right? Like where we could get like really angsty emo Perth, or get more like, I don't know, more of a developed emotional sweet Perth. And I'm just like, sometimes the angsty emo Perth can be like a little too like, you know, and so I think
it'll be like Whiplash is what I'm getting from the trailer, where like he'll he'll whip in between the two, right? He'll really kind of like he'll be really soft with Jimin, and then he won't be, and then he's angry, and then because he's like just going through something.
Because his dad goes to the hospital.
Yeah, and like he clearly has a lot of pressure on him as like the heir to whatever it is he's the heir of, right? Like, so I think he'll like really whip back and forth between the two, and I think we'll probably have a period of like angry, angsty Perth, and then we'll come through to the other side. Like, yes,
I just can't wait to see Jimin.
I think we'll get angry, angsty Perth in whatever the brothers one is. I forget what it's called. That I'm gonna watch. I will watch the hell out of that.
Was a BL.
Me too. I was watching that and I was shook for like the first like full minute of that trailer. I was like, I didn't know how to react. No, I was like, holy shit, are they reshipping What? Like, I truly
imagine.
Was I was so shook. Like, I didn't know how to function. And then when they like, it's super funny when they like make it super clear that they're like brothers and not in like a peanut way, and like they're actually factually related. I was like, oh, I see. I see.
It like broke my brain. I was
so, but this is another one where like Pawat has had multiple ships because he can have chemistry with anyone. Perth clearly chemistry with anyone, and so that's why when you get those two in front of each other, every single one of us was like, is it gay? Like,
there's sexual tension with their brothers.
Well, then you don't find out that they're brothers until later. As soon as they announced that they're brothers, I think everybody's like, oh, okay. But I was like, for the first full minute, I was like, oh my God, 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 oh my God. Like,
yeah. Well, and I mean, it like just shows that if you break up ships and ship people with new ships and mix things up, that you can get this really, even if it's not like maybe a BL chemistry.
Now I want a Perth own BL now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched the trailer
too.
They're friends. Maybe they want to kiss. Okay. And like I would watch it just like I would watch Nanon in another ship, because these boys are actors, like they're artists, especially
who would you reship Nanon with?
Nanon would be funny with Pod, actually.
Oh my gosh, that's the fishing BL that Jordy was talking about,
like A Tale of 1,000 Stars-esque, but like he's like goes to the country and there's this fisherman and it's like a thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like I'd watch it. Tell me you wouldn't watch that.
I feel like Nanon would play a great Mix's character from Tale of 1,000 Stars. And obviously Pod and Earth are interchangeable.
Right.
It's like when I saw, was it The Jungle with Nanon?
Yes, the bartending one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I ship all of them because they just all were like, giving that same energy as Only Friends, right? Like, we're all toxic and messy and we're all just like, hooking up and who's with who. And I was like, wait, is there BL here? Oh, okay. No.
I mean, it just shows you how good of actors these boys are. And like, I don't think it takes away from their original ship and the chemistry they have there and the special bond that's there to sort of let them like spread their little acting wings and fly. Like, yeah.
Well, and that's like, if we look at the OG ship of GMMTV, like one of the first pillars, Chris Cincto, right? Like Cincto's gone and had chemistry with everyone, and like yet comes back and they still do ship work together and they still are.
Flapped his little actor wings. I love it. Okay, moving on to potentially the most controversial BL of the GMMTV 2023 lineup, the one that I'm hyped on it. This was so funny to watch in real time. Like the theatrics that went into this. Like I'm watching it and I'm like, this is outstanding. I was like, I've never seen anything better. I was like, cut, print it. Yes.
I mean, TayNew,
we're talking about Cherry Magic. TayNew, Cherry Magic.
TayNew, kill it every time.
I did not know what was going on at first, full disclosure, because I thought that was just because I had watched with you, Beth Ann, or no, I'd watched while you were there in person. I was watching live that the Pillars concert, right? Which was very similar of like people falling from the sky and man
chandelier.
Yes, if
as a listener, did not watch Love Out Loud. TayNew legitimately had a man chandelier. Like they had men hanging from the sky and they were like a light fixture. It was amazing.
And so, you know, this whole thing starts with like smoke coming on the stage, right? And it's like, what's happening? Like, where am I?
And then one of them, like the spotlight shines, and then the other one comes to the side and the spotlight shines. And it is okay. You know how Dark Blue Kiss is just so dramatic, as even from like the theme song. This is like if Dark Blue Kiss, the theme song, was like embodied, is what happened with these theatrics.
Yes.
I was living. And literally at the end of it, I think I even put in the text with you, Renee, I was like, if they don't announce a BL after this, I'm gonna be pissed. Like if this wasn't the lead up to them, like this extra ridiculous behavior, and then it was Cherry Magic. Okay,
so
question
excited.
Here,
We've all
this
seen
has
Cherry
been
Magic.
Controversial.
Yeah,
people are upset. People are upset.
Listen, whatever. Be upset. If you love these characters, great. Love the characters. Go read your fanfic. Go do your thing. But let other people do this story. I think
a Thai version will not erase the Japanese version.
Yeah.
You can choose not to watch the Thai version. It doesn't sully anything.
No. And that's the thing is like we know all of Asia redoes stuff. We were just talking about F4 Boys Over Flowers, whatever. That show is the most iconic show, but it has been redone in every Asian country. It started in Japan. They redid it in Taiwan 2 or 3 times. They did it in China. They did it in Korea. They just now did it in Thailand. Like I've only watched the Chinese version and was ultimately scarred and will never watch that story again. But there are people like Ayla's has watched the Korean version and the Thai version. Like there's so many different versions that are available that like, and the author's excited for TayNew to do this. So like,
also, can we talk about New being a psychic virgin?
I'm excited because he's a virgin in the warp effect. And so
but
like
he okay, because of course we know the translation is like 30 years wizard. So like he's actually not a psychic, he's a wizard, which I stand by that translation, and that's what I choose to believe he is. He becomes a wizard.
Gonna kill it.
I do think New's gonna kill it because he can give off very innocent vibes when he wants to.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm a huge fan of New as an actor. I watched everything he's been in, straight or BL. And so I think he's going to kill TayNew. Are going to kill this storyline. Like thinking about the Japanese version, this is going to be a fun remake.
Also, think about Dark Blue Kiss. This is very similar to the plot of Dark Blue Kiss in terms of like the characters TayNew will have to be playing.
I'm so
I'm excited.
I think like one of the things that people forget, well, maybe they don't, but because we see soft Tay so much, right?
Yeah, like real life.
Real life, and like that we forget, or it's easy sometimes to not remember that he has these amazing acting chops and can do anything, right?
Yeah, he's such a bad boy in Dark Blue Kiss.
Yeah, and even his character in 3 Will Be Free, you know, call back to that, was like dark, and you know, even though it was a very different character than what he's going to play, it's like you saw the range in that character of being sweet to dark to in charge to not in charge. And so I think Tay just has the range to be able to play anything. And I think that when I think of the character, the the news character, I'm blanking the name, but like it is one of the dopiest characters, right? And when I think of New, like he's a dopey, goofy dude, right? Like all of the characters he plays is that archetype of someone who's just like, what am I doing? You know? And so I think it actually made a lot of sense in terms of, if you look at all the pillars and you look at all the actors in GMMTV, I think it does make a lot of sense for that pairing. So
I agree. I'm so excited. And I think everyone should watch it, give it a chance. I'm gonna give it a chance. Like with Boys Over Flowers, I watched the Korean version and I watched F4, and I'm excited. I think TayNew can pull this off.
Yeah, well, and I think like too, right, there was a lot of that same hubbub around Love Stage, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Counter and Turbo.
Counter Turbo, iconic. That version is so good.
And I've heard that people who watch the Japanese version and love the story love the Thai version.
Yeah.
And I read the manga, watched the Japanese version, and watched the Thai version. And it's like you said, they're all different and they're all good in their own way. And I think like if you're going to do Cherry Magic, right, you want someone like GMMTV that has the resources, that has the established ships and the directors and the people to really bring it to life. And if the writer is stoked on it, like that's a huge part of any adaptation. So
also it's giving us Sings and Janhae.
For
the first time.
Oh,
they're like a Sammy and Yacht where like they're shipped outside, but like they've never coupled up in a show.
Are they? Is it really? Like I feel like I didn't hear that.
Yes. People are obsessed.
And like people in GMMTV ship them. It's like a joke that like Sing and Janhae are like dating.
Whenever Sing makes an appearance anywhere, they're like, "Where's Janhae? What's Janhae doing?" I'm so excited.
And they're so cute together. Holy cow, they're so cute together. I'm so excited. Yeah.
I think Janhae also has chemistry with everyone she acts
with.
Oh,
she's perfect. Yeah. She's perfect.
So are they replacing the other BL side couple?
Yes.
So do we think Janhae will be the dancer and Sings will be the...
We're going to find out.
Sing will play the awkward...
Creepy with the cat.
We're gonna find out. I think they're gonna rewrite they're rewriting those characters probably pretty significantly.
That'll be
my guess. Yeah.
Sings playing the virgin.
Yes.
Again, like I think with all of these shows that like got any backlash, right? I think I look at the past showcase and I think about like there's a lot we didn't have faith in then and we were proven wrong. And I think especially with Cherry Magic, because it's such a good story and because again I have all the faith in Tay, I think it can definitely be a show that we all are like, wow, this was great, I can't believe we ever doubted it, right?
Yeah. Okay, last two. Book Force, Boss and a Babe. Thoughts,
feelings.
I have strong feelings about this, and I'm sorry to any of the Force book like fans out there, but I am not feeling this one at all. I think it looks horrible. I'm like, what is this creepy like boss situation? Like I need to hear your voice when I sleep, right? Like I was like, no, don't.
I'm not into it at all.
It's big K-drama vibes.
Yeah, like based on a book, right? Like or a web series or something, right? So
I'm not into it. I'm not. And it's not about Force Book, Book Force. Which one is it? Is it Book Force or Force Book?
Force
Book.
Yeah.
It's not about Force Book because I like them and I'm super excited about OnlyFriends.
Yeah.
Like I saw them in OnlyFriends and I was like, "Ooh, yes, okay."
They look way better in that.
Yeah. But I was watching this trailer and I was like, I don't know about all of this. I mean, I'm happy for them that they're getting another show because Enchante, I think we can all agree, was Enchante. But maybe it'll surprise me. I don't know.
I love the introduction of the side couple potentially of Fluke and Ohm. These like new boys. We've seen Fluke.
Yeah.
Fluke has been around.
Yeah, but New Ohm is.
But New Ohm is
who is New Ohm? Why is his name Ohm? There's so many Ohms.
There's so many Ohms.
Change your name. Learn from Star Hunter. Yeah, I don't know. This one, my thoughts on it are you're gonna have to convince me.
I will give it a couple episodes like I do all shows, right? Like try, want to see what they're gonna bring, but it's sort of like, okay, like then they get together, then what? Right. And that was sort of the problem with Enchante. It was like, oh, he found out who Enchante was. And then they create this whole other drama at the end, which is like so unnecessary. And so I'm like, oh, the big reveal is that you found out I like your videos. Then what?
Right. Yeah.
Right? And so I'm worried I hope it doesn't do that, is what I will say.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. We'll have to wait and see
what happens.
Okay, last but most certainly not least, our Skyy 2. Our Skyy 2. I was super excited. I was really confused during the it's not really a trailer, but the promo.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? I was very confused. I thought it was just a these are the new pillars, but I was like, GMMTV doesn't even refer to them as pillars. But I was like, and then I realized, I was like, oh,
it's an interesting mix of old and new. So I wrote down what storylines we're getting, which is Tale of 1,000 Stars, The Eclipse, Boss and a Babe, My School President, Star in My Mind, Never Let Me Go, Vice Versa, and Bad Buddy.
Well, you know why it's Tale of 1,000 Stars, because P-Off is directing and he got to pick which stories. So
he probably has to write them.
Yeah, P-Off is directing and he got to pick which stories. But that's why it's the mix that it is.
It's such a random. I mean, yes, give me Tale of 1,000 Stars.
But then why not do Moonlight Chicken? Because we know our Skyy.
Probably because it's easier.
Forever, right?
It's probably easier to write.
Well, also,
and people love Tale of 1,000 Stars.
Moonlight Chicken is a part of a series it's that midnight series, so it's not a standalone like Tale of 1,000 Stars is.
Yeah,
I do love that Pond and Pooh and I heard were like, guys, you'll like these characters.
Yeah, I remember. I was
fun.
watching it, and they had these live translations during it, and they were like, "We know that a lot of people really liked Fish Upon the Sky, but there's a new show coming out, and you're going to see it really soon."
That's very cute.
Well, and I think Pond and Pooh have been doing so well in their friendship and their bond with Jung Dunk, and just they're really coming to their own, I think, as a couple, and the show I think will do that as well. And so I'm excited to see new Pond Pooh in that regard. I didn't want to see Fish Upon the Sky again.
Do we think we're gonna get, what do we think we're gonna get with the Bad Buddy storyline? Do we think we'll get Pat Pran as boyfriends?
Yeah, because that's kind of what it is in our Skyy 1. It's just it's like side quests, basically, is what our Skyy is, right? It's like side quests for these characters.
OffGun in our Skyy, isn't their storyline just completely unrelated? Isn't there a body swap situation that happens?
Yeah.
But it's
really
still their
random.
characters.
It's still their characters. Yeah. So again, it's that's what I mean by it's side quests. It's still the characters from Theory of Love.
Right, but it has nothing to do with the storyline, is what I'm saying.
Right. That's why I say it's side quests.
So that's so that's what I'm wondering is are we going to get almost is this what they're doing to give people the special episode for Bad Buddy?
Oh no, I don't think so. I think it'll be just like
totally
our Skyy,
unrelated.
where it's a side quest where these characters are established, you know who they are, and this is
an extra moment with them.
Yeah, because that's what our Skyy is.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Well, and I was kind of worried because Ohm and Anon were the last ones, and then it was oh, they're gonna grab this magical object that turns them into their old characters, but then they grabbed it and it didn't work at first.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, you can't do that to us. You can get all these other ships and all their other stories.
In that moment, I was like, oh wait, is this how they're announcing a new Ohm Nanon show? That's what I thought, because I didn't understand what was happening at that point. Still, I was like, okay, so I understood it was the eclipse, and I understood that it was Star in My Mind, right? And because they, and then when theirs didn't work, I was like, oh, is what we're trying to imply here that there are going to be new characters for Ohm and Nanon? I didn't get it, and then it and I was like, oh, I see now. This is just the only way for us to get Ohm Nanon in 2023.
I mean, we're not even getting Earth Mix, new Earth Mix. We're getting Earth Mix left over from 2022.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
I have to say I was surprised by how little Nanon was actually in the showcase,
Yeah, he's not in really anything.
He has the jungle and I think one other one, but Ohm was
compared
everywhere.
To 2022. In 2022, Nanon was in so much.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because he had to he basically had to work to graduate, and now that he's graduated, he's like, okay,
I
think they just like it's up to the directors, of course, obviously, like we know that. But also I think like GMMTV, you can tell from the showcases, they go through like seasons where like last year Nanon was in everything. And then like the year before that, Drake, everything. Right? So like
Nanon
they go
also
through
has a
like
leftover show. So like there is a show to come with 2 shows actually. We haven't gotten 2 shows from Nanon.
Yeah, well, Dirty Laundry is coming out this year because it's all hitting Disney Plus. So Dirty Laundry is coming out this year. Listen, you guys, we're gonna get it. We'll like get people are so angry and they're like, I'm gonna fight GMMTV. Why? Because the Thai people get a Thai show before you do? Sorry? Like, I'm sorry. I don't know why we're mad about that. Like, I don't get it. This is Thai media.
I held out for Cupid's Last Wish. I watched it like, as it came out on GMMTV.
What is this entitlement? Like,
I think it's hard because so many people live on the internet, right? And a lot of these shows, when they air, the clips get like, sort of shown. And so it's always hard to avoid spoilers. And then when you see the spoilers and then you can't even go and watch what the spoiler was about. That can sometimes be frustrating as a fan, but yes, it's fine that Thai audiences get their shows before inner fans.
How dare!
Like I'm frustrating. Like, you guys, we're gonna get to see it.
It is hard to remember as international fans that like, this isn't for us.
It's not for us.
It's never gonna be for us.
Yeah,
we have very little money.
Comparatively, right? Like in terms of what buys these shows, it's not our spending power. It's people going to 7-Eleven and buying Oishi honey lemon. Like it is. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, Dirty Laundry is coming out this year, and then the Alien one, which I'm so excited about, will come out in 2023. I'm gonna watch the hell out of that show. I'm gonna Milk has been abducted and she comes back and she's an alien, and then Drake is there, and then no one has to like I'm super stoked.
Because Drake didn't make an appearance in any trailer, right?
No, Drake isn't in anything.
He's
so that's what I mean.
Credited in Boston a Babe.
That's what I mean by like they go through seasons of GMMTV, right? It's like last year Nanon was in everything. The year before that, Drake got announced in everything. So like they go. So like this year, Ohm is in everything. Ohm and Win Meta Win. Win is in everything. So like they go like GMMTV goes through seasons of like this. Like they have an It Boy.
How did we not get Brightwin in our Skyy?
Well,
because Together was so long ago, and Piaf already did.
No, it was literally the same time.
Because Piaf already did Together too. Piaf did Still Together. Like he's like, I did that.
That's true.
And there was a movie with,
and there's a movie.
like what would have probably been an our Skyy clip was at the end of the movie. So
and nobody cares to see those characters again.
Listen, I like Sarawat. I like Tyne. I like Together. Say what you will. I like Together. It's a good show. It's sweet.
It's one of those iconic BLs, right? That like I think everyone should watch because it was one of the first ones I watched. Like truly one of the first Thai BLs I ever watched was Together. And I remember just being like, oh my God, what is this? This is amazing. At the time, because it was like, there was just so many things that were happening and they were a mood.
Yes.
Listen, Together, I maintain, has one of the best scenes ever in any BL period. Together it's a good BL. People love to talk shit about it.
It introduced me to Top Tap.
But it's a good
crappy
BL.
as his character was in that show, I fell head over heels for Top Tap.
That scene when Sarawat runs to his friends, right? And like you think he hasn't cared all this time, and then you see this reveal and he's like, I found him. Like best scene in any BL. It's definitely in the top 5. Like Together is a great show. People love to talk shit about it, but it is a great show. It's not spicy, but it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like one of those things where the story and the acting like takes it so like it just is done so well, I think, because I think Bright is a really good actor, right?
Yeah,
and the supporting characters are so good, right? And so I think it like to me it is one of those iconic BLs that like there's a reason why it's number one. There's a reason why Bright Wind are the superstars that they are, right? Like it's not because it sucked. Right? Like so
Is Bright in anything?
Oh yeah, Bright got the movie. Bright got the one movie this year.
Yeah. It's like,
and it looks really cool.
It felt very like Bright wanted to do an artsy film.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
And he was like, GMM, give me an artsy film. And they're like, sure, go for it.
Yeah, he got the movie. He was the very last announcement of the whole showcase.
Yeah.
I also am excited about Wynn's like supernatural teacher thing. Like that looks so stupid.
I'm excited about Gun's mystery house one.
That was fascinating. Really yeah.
And I think like Gun and Tor have a good connection. You know, like you saw a lot of the behind the scenes with them. They've been showing that on the internet, and it's like, oh, okay, this could be really fun.
Okay, so we've talked about all the BLs and the GL. Top three most anticipated, and then we're going to revisit this at the end of 2023 and see if our answers change.
Whoa.
Beth Ann, you go first.
Top three, Hidden Agenda, because I'm getting Pod. I love Pod. We're also getting Album Husbands, which we didn't talk about, which I'm so excited about.
Oh yeah, as the established other secondary couple, right?
Yes, already dating. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're the gay icons in that show, which was very cute. Dangerous Romance, because Perth Jimin, obviously. And then Only Friends, obviously.
I'm so
excited. Okay, you want me to go next? Yeah. I'll go next. This was really hard for me because I'm the one that set like a top 3 and not a top 5, and I was like, my dumb ass, I could have made it anything I wanted, and then I was like trying to narrow it down to 3. So I'm gonna say Last Twilight. Definitely up there. I cannot wait to
fascinating.
Last Twilight. I know. I never would have thought that I would be here. Never would have thought I would be here. But Last Twilight, like that's the like it sticks out to me so much out of all those trailers.
Interesting.
Dangerous Romance, because it's gonna be a hot mess. It's gonna be such a hot mess, and I don't know what to do about that. And Cherry Magic. I want to know what they're gonna do with it. I'm fascinated.
So good.
Interesting. So I'm going to shout out to the GL 23.5. I think has the potential to be like a sleeper hit where people aren't going to see it coming because they're like, we don't know what to expect from a GL. And I think Milk and Love they have really good off and on screen chemistry. So I think that's going to really carry it. Hidden Agenda, I will always just want to see more Jung and Dunk. Their faces on the screen all the time. I love it. And all the supporting characters, right? Like we get Louis, right? We get Boom. I think it's gonna be really good. And then I'm also gonna go with Last Twilight. It's like it's like a thinker, and I keep going back to it, even though I've like maybe wasn't like, oh, this is my favorite one, but it's like I think I keep going back to it as like this could be really, really like really well done. But honorable mention to Only Friends, which I will probably be watching on repeat.
Yes, Only Friends is also an honorable mention. I feel like I was really stuck between like, should I include Cooking Crush, because OffGun, like OffGun are like one of my top ships, although TayNew is my top ship. But I was like, it's not that I necessarily anticipate it because I know it's going to be good. I feel like Last Twilight and Dangerous Romance, right, and like Cherry Magic, the reason I'm anticipating them is because I'm like, like it could be so good or it could be so bad, right? I'm like anticipatory of like what it's going to be versus I'm like OffGun being cute in a kitchen, perfect, right? Like chef's kiss.
Yeah. And I think like with OffGun, I don't know like what the story really is either, so it's sort of like I'm like it'll be OffGun, it'll be great. It doesn't have to be
exactly anything. That's why I'm like, it's not that I'm not excited to watch it, it's that I'm not. The others I'm like anticipating because I'm like curious about.
I don't even remember the teaser trailer for Not Me. Like I feel like Not Me came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
I remember it because it was like Gun in a coma, and it was like it was really like, I was like, what's happening? Right. And then it was like this, again, a twin moment. Right. So,
okay. That's it. That's the top 3. This was fun.
This is so fun.
I had fun. Did you have fun?
Wani Sanuka.
Sanuka.
Oh my gosh. Renee, do you want to sign us out?
Oh, yes, I would.
Do you know it? Should we put it in the chat?
I feel like I should know it by heart, right? By now, having listened to so many podcasts of yours. But maybe in the chat. Let's see. Okay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.
Yay! That was
okay, bye,
amazing.
guys.
Bye.